Today's no good for going out. Did I say that yesterday as well?
Narukami, please. See that he stays safe.
By the protection of the Electro Archon, may the blossoms of the sacred Sakura bloom eternally.
Narukami, please. See that he stays safe.
Hey, how's it going?
May the blossoms of the sacred Sakura bloom.
Got my Yamiko here, ready to go.
Narukami, please. See that he stays safe.
What's up, noob?
May the blossoms of the sacred Sakura bloom eternally.
What's good?
Narukami.
I'm still trying to land on a good build for EA, which I think, you know, is probably going to be different. I assume they're going to get a new artifact set for the following patch, which is kind of annoying for like people who rolled for Kokomi and then had to like refarm all the fucking artifacts like I did.
Please.
Pretty annoying. Like if you went for Heart of Depth for Kokomi for on field, like if you had Tenacity, like you're fine. You could just use their support still. But man, I just wasted so much resin on Kokomi. Getting a Heart of Depth set and then just got a new one for the clans is so fucking annoying, frankly.
Narukami, please. See that he stays safe.
I'm probably not going to get Ye's weapon, but I am a little bit torn between which ones to use here. The Wizard is the most obvious. Same got crit damage, DCL with Ascend with crit and rate. I also have a Skyward Atlas, which is a little harder to balance the stats for. My guess is Skyward Atlas DPS overall will be better because mine has refinements. But it kind of depends on what I end up using Ye for, and it's not 100% clear to me, or seemingly like anybody, like where she's gonna play out. You can see the team I have here is weird, but I think that's going to be the case with Ye, is that we're going to have to find weird teams, unless you're just going to slot her in as a Sarah replacement for Raiden in that team, where it's a downgrade for Raiden to do that, right? Like, if you have C6 Sarah and a good Raiden, the new 4-star weapon is actually going to be a sleeper hit, I think, for people. So, like, the new weapon is pretty basic. The one that they're going to give is like,
Fire it up! No, my
it's a attack-based weapon, and then it just has energy recharge on it.
To enjoy this too much.
And I think that there's like kind of a lot of potential energy issues at play there. You can see what I roll in here, I'll show you in a second here, is not enough energy recharge because I'm just kind of half-assing my Toma. I want to try out a couple things with Toma. Particularly I want to see how he works with Venti. I want to know if he hits him. The weapon will solve some of the energy issues that EA will have. But I kind of think she's going to be stuck rolling with Fischl. Again, you can run her with Raiden, but it's a downgrade for Raiden to do that, and so that's not exactly what I think I'm going to end up doing. So I'm trying to figure out what teams can you roll with EA that don't have Raiden in it, because it doesn't seem optimal to do it. You're either going to extend your rotations or you're going to weaken your Raiden by not using... Hey, what's up, Zane? By not using, again, like Sarah or... even, like, Lisa throwing tails is, like, probably on par with EA. So, here's what I'm looking at here. This is kind of a yay main carry team. My most likely swap that I want to try out is Venti swap in better than Sing Cho. And then the reason why I'm using Toma is because the two Electro, there's going to be plenty of Electro Aura to trigger overloads. And a full elemental mastery build Toma actually does decent damage. Some of the best, and in particular, like why I'm using him instead of Changling, is that his energy issues actually can be slightly better than Changling. I do now have his C4, which helps an immense amount. You know, so I want to give it a shot, but I need to see, like, one, is there any opportunity really to use Venti? Like, where would you even bother? Other than lower floors of Abyss, just because, like, he doesn't suck anything up. I do think that's likely to change in the future with new enemies. Or otherwise, like, again, I think Sing Cho sliding in that same spot is an option, and that's why I have him in there right now, because it's not very much, just not a whole lot of enemies that Venti can suck up. But I want to see if Toma can hit enemies in Venti's burst, so I will be trying that. If I can get Venti to not kill everything. But I'm just gonna mess around a little bit here with, like, what is a good, like, Yay team that doesn't have Raiden. This seems like possibly one of the better ones. It's like, you have Zhongli, you can use Zhongli, obviously. Now that I have my burst back. I want to just confirm, like, who triggers here, but it should be, with Fischl and Lisa, it should be Toma that triggers the overloads. Let's try this out here.
No, my sword! Witness the power of the wild.
Okay, let's drop Fischl. Especially if we were to drop. I mean, yeah, easily. Easily gonna have it be Toma. Oh, what's up, guy?
Let's spark things up a little.
By the way, my Toma is, like, very low level. My Toma's level 40, I think. Could be the most annoying enemy mechanic, by the way.
No, my sword!
Yeah, that's good. That's your friend.
Check this out. Got you covered.
Right, well, as soon as you introduce Fischl, it starts to become, like, really easy for Toma to be the trigger. So we see when it's 5,000, it's Lisa triggering. And it is because of the burning grass. But because Toma has bad ICD, on a single enemy, he'll fall behind Lisa.
Come
What's
a
up,
little
Red?
closer.
Fire it up.
No, my sword!
Everyone's got fucking Zhongli, man. Or Zhongli. That's good, Crad. Unless Red, unless you're his friend. Are you the one who just got it in 30 pulls? Either way, Grass. Where are you using Zhongli? I struggle to find a spot for him. The most obvious team I have him in is Ito, but I don't like running him on Ito because I hate running a mono element team because it's just you're one slime away, right? You're one slime away from being fucked. Just like a random one pull. Nice. I'm perilously close to pity, but it's like 50-50. I'm just saving it for Yay. I have C1 Zhongli. I was considering getting a C2 just for co-op shit, but I think it's fine. I have Diona, you know. Excuse me. This is kind of a weird fire.
Don't get too close.
Kind of weird.
It's my lucky day.
Let me weave you a verse. Huh?
Again, so if we drop Crystal, especially if we drop Lisa first, it's kind of like mimicking the taunt. Shit dies way too fast, man. I think I gotta take all of their, like, gear off. This would be roughly my Yay build if I use Widsith. I think I'm at like 70 or so. So she has like 20 free crit though, so I'd be closer to like 80% crit rate. Like 80% crit rate, 186% crit damage with EA on the same setup here. It's a 2-piece Glad, 2-piece Shimenawa. The obvious issue I have is if I were to swap out and use Skyward, I have to rebuild. Actually, I don't. No, I would need more crit damage. I would need, because it was put me at, yeah, too much. So I have to do a little rebuilding if I go with Skyward, but I'm going to have to do some testing. It's going to be hard to figure out what weapon makes sense. So this is going to be kind of wonky to describe, but, so there's like an Emblem of Severed Fate build, or there's like a two-piece build that you can do. One maximizes her burst, obviously, Emblem, and one maximizes her skill and her burst, both, but like to a lesser extent than her burst. But if you're using Widsith, when you do a rotation, you're typically going to be maximizing buffs on her burst, right? You're not going to get the Widsith buff and just use her skill. You're going to try to get the Widsith buff active during her burst at all times, and because the Widsith buff is long downtime and short duration, you're going to be having additional buffs on her attack or her elemental bonus on her burst, more so than her skill. So that makes me think a Widsith on a 4-piece Emblem is actually underrated if you were to like go to EA Main's website or whatever, to her Discord. Because it doesn't really factor in the fact of you weighting your buffs heavily on her burst when you're using Widsith. So, that's something to consider. I'm still trying to figure it out. This team seems like it totally could work with EA's. So, I mean, as you can see, the overload trigger is pretty unreliable on grass, and it's not easy to tell who it would be. So, like, 5,000 for Lisa. I gotta try it on, like, Abyss or something at some point when I have, like, better gear on Toma. But I think if I were to drop her burst and Fischl, I think he can reliably trigger. This video I posted recently, if I just use, if I were to just use Toma, it's actually kind of weird. I'm going to try to get his burst up real quick and I'll show you. I don't know for sure if Lisa and Ye will work the same way on this. But let me find an enemy.
Check this out.
That's not... on the water here, so I can show you. Let me find, like, some dry ground somewhere. I think there's, like, a robot over here. There's a weird quirk with catalysts, and every catalyst is different, and I don't 100% know how fast EA will attack, but you would assume that Lisa hits first because there's no travel time. She just has a hit scan normal attack, but let me show you on this thing. Yeah, he's not on the grass, perfect.
I couldn't
What?
save him.
How did those fucking things... Jesus Christ. I hate this game
Time
so
to
much.
act.
The most bullshit. Now I gotta get his burst back. God damn
Rain
it.
outlines your face.
That's so fucking dumb. God damn it. Just
Check this
come
out.
on. Does they just do a 90-degree turn?
Odd reveal.
Look at his burst back. He doesn't have quite enough energy recharge. I'm thinking about crafting contain for him, but it's okay. We'll kill this one and we'll go do the other
Don't
guy.
get too close.
Come a little closer. You've been a naughty boy. He,
Okay. Let's try this again here. Alright, so we will use just Lisa and Toma. So I will, as soon as I can hit him.
Supporting fire.
You see how there's a delay on Lisa? And he actually hits first? It's not clear to me whether that's going to mean
you're in for a little shock.
that's true for Ye. But it does make it a little bit awkward to use Toma with Elemental Mastery build with Lisa, except when her burst is up, which is often, but it's like, it's just weird. It's just a weird thing, I don't know why.
Rain outlines your fate.
Then I wanted to try Venti and see if Toma can hit. There's some good benefits to using Toma here with Venti, and that would be...
Give me
I
a
don't
moment
think Venti has anything on. Artifact-wise, that would actually be good. No, he does have stuff on. What does he have on? Oh, like my old shit from Sayu. That's fine. No, the EM, at this point, it seems like the Elemental Mastery is just bonus. Like, it's kind of the equivalent at this point, and it might change based on new characters. But it at this point seems similar to like Jade Cutter, where most I don't think there's any character that you build with HP for a sword user. Is there? At this point, maybe Ayada will be different. But there's just like a bonus that makes it so you get some benefit from leveling your character and getting HP stats. But it's not... You're right. The thing that might change, there's kind of two things that might change it. Well, a few, really. So, there could be something with the Dendro reactions. One. If the Dendro reactions do want you to have Elemental Mastery, then it does make sense. And then the other way to think about that is it's, instead of it thinking of it as a small bonus to Elemental Mastery to building her normally, the other way you could think about it is the Elemental Mastery, building her for Elemental Mastery is less penalized because she's getting an Elemental bonus for it. But you really want to build her full EM because of the way that either she works with Dendro or whatever reason. One issue with that, if that's going to be a future design, is that it's weird then that she would scale with crit unless that reaction can crit. Now, we haven't really had an Elemental Mastery based, like, where you would build full Elemental Mastery. Obviously, there's a balancing of Elemental Mastery and, like, Melt and Vape and stuff, but it's not like you go full EM for that. But, let's say there were a build where you want to just go full Elemental Mastery and it could crit, then it makes sense. So that's one. Another thing might be like an artifact set that might come out that has some sort of extra bonus for Elemental Mastery or something. That seems like the least likely scenario to me, that an artifact that would have such significant effect that like it changes the full way you would build them. That isn't exactly unheard of. I mean, right? There's like, there are builds that are like that. Emblem might make the like right. Focus on our burst for Yay Miko is one. Kokomi has like pretty major differences in doesn't change her stat priorities, but it does, right? Either make her want support or DPS. Like Shibunawa is actually kind of a weirdly significant one. It does change your rotations a lot, but it doesn't change your build. There's not really anything that like changes your build or anything yet, as far as I can recall. Nothing that really changes your character from like a DPS to a support or from like a DPS build to an elemental mastery build. It's all pretty like modest effects. Do you know what I'm saying? So it seems unlikely to me that we'll get like that. It seems to me like she gets a bonus from elemental mastery sharing characters like C2 Kazuha, gets some bonus from elemental mastery from using, just from like getting that stat roll on artifacts. But I don't think that means that she should be building elemental mastery. The bonus is kind of small, and it's kind of similar to like Yunjin's bonus. There was, I think, a period of time where people were like, you need to run Yunjin on a rainbow team. How cool is that? But that's really not true at all. This bonus is very, very minor and worse than any, like, resonance that you might get. Running her without another Geo is kind of painful, frankly, actually, energy-wise. So it's like, that's going to be probably true for Ye until there's some sort of set. It's just elemental mastery stat is a bonus for if you were going to build her with a little bit of element like mastery for overload or whatever. But there is also the option to build her elemental mastery also, and that's with like a Venti overload team or whoever overload. It doesn't have to be Venti, but right, it's kind of interesting because you can do this. You infuse Venti with Pyro. If it were to work, which this is why Kazuha is just significantly better than Venti in every single way. Venti fucking honestly is kind of trash in most content anymore. See how like unreliable confusing that burst was? I'm trying. Fucking god, good hitboxes, bro. Jesus Christ. If you can actually reliably infuse Venti, which you can only do with mobs, and you can't do it on bosses, really. Because if this thing doesn't center in on them, it doesn't infuse, as you just saw. But if you can get... yeah, well, Toma is level 40. Yeah, level 40, Toma. He's a little bit fragile at the moment. But I'm going to see if you can hit enemies in Venti's burst. Do you think there's for me to try that out just to use him with Electro, actually?
Taste of my hammer. Have a taste of
Here we
this.
go.
And then see if I can hit with Overload. Otherwise it'll be kind of hard.
Think you can get away?
See, it's reliable. If Venti can absorb the enemies, then it's fine. Don't mind my Venti's damage. He doesn't actually have anything equipped. His gear sucks. I've been using Sayu lately, so Sayu is using his stuff, but it's actually better if I can keep enemies alive a little bit longer, actually. Trying to not kill them all immediately. Actually, I should... Let me take off his weapon. There we go. My goal here is to not kill enemies, if I can. So I want to figure this out. I just want to know if Toma can hit in his burst at this point.
Fire it up.
Don't actually know. Okay. So I gotta find some enemies that I can actually suck up and absorb. There's also actually enemies, right, like husks coming out, which are... They don't actually lift into the air. They just kind of get sucked in horizontally, but not vertically, if that makes sense. but we're like, I always want to see like worst case scenario. Like Venti can lift them up. Can Toma hit them? Basically. I'm gonna try to get them Electro, and then do it.
Time for takeoff.
Supporting fire.
Oh yeah, this works. What's up, Inquire?
The wrong test subject.
So that tells me that this team is seeming pretty viable to me, actually. If you could, one, you have to make Toma's set the Oathsworn Eye. I actually think most people should consider that weapon. Like free-to-play should definitely consider that weapon for a couple of reasons. One, if you aren't aware what that weapon does, it's a normal attack weapon. Normal attack, not a normal attack as in normal. What's up, Paladin? It's not that it busts normal attack. What I mean by normal attack I mean the stat on it is attack percent, right? Which is not like the best thing in the world. You'd want it to be crit, whatever. They're not going to give away a free crit weapon. So it's an attack substat, and then when you use a skill, it gives you at refinement 5, which you'll get, assuming you do the whole event, it gives you 48% energy recharge, which is like a massive amount of energy recharge. And there's a couple of reasons why that is just like so good for Yay and so underrated for Yay. And why it's actually, this is the Oathsworn Eye that they're going to give for free from the next event. So here's the couple reasons why. So one, like for free to play, I'm honestly kind of impressed. It's like MiHoYo is aware of what they did to Yay. They made Yay so dependent on constellations or Raiden that they almost needed to give that weapon to Yay only because they created so many problems for her. She has a 90 cost burst. She is primarily going to be played off field, right? Which is going to lower her energy generation, right? She's constellation locked so you basically need Raiden, Fischl, or her C1 to really use her. This might be possible if you built her high energy recharge and had that weapon. But the fact that it has an energy recharge and attack,
Why not keep me company for a while?
is pretty perfect, right? So remember, if you're using Bennett, right? She can't benefit from Bennett because she's going to be off field on her totems don't snapshot. So the fact that it's an attack stat weapon and has energy recharge because she's going to be off field is actually it solves, not solve, but it helps a lot of her major problems, right? Which is going to be how difficult it'll be to attack buffer, how her energy recharge is going to be suffering unless you spend money or get Raiden or whatever, and it's free, right? So it's in the uptime, and it's just easy, just use a skill, right? So the damage on it is not going to be that high, but I think people really, 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 really struggle to understand how damage works in this game, which is that if you don't burst, it doesn't matter if you do 25% more damage. If you take 25% longer to do it, right? It's not more damage. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's if you can burst when you couldn't have burst by using that weapon, then that weapon is better damage than whatever you were using. It doesn't matter if I have Widsith on my character here. If my energy recharge is 120%, I'm only going to burst half the time. Which just means that, like, I would need to be doing double the damage to do it, right? Which is just not... That's just not how strong it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's like... Yeah, I think energy recharge is a bigger issue than people realize, and I also think energy recharge is a bigger problem for EA than people understand. Again, if you're gonna use her with Raiden, that helps a lot. Otherwise, you're like kind of locked at either getting Fischl or her C1. But man, again, it's as a character that's gonna be off field a lot. It's like it's not even like Beto, right? With like Beto, you can time a perfect parry and get those particles right away in one chunk to her, but you don't do that with Ye, right? Like, let's say Beto generates 4 particles and Ye generates 4 particles in a rotation. Beto can capture all of those particles on field. Ye doesn't, and that's 3 times less energy for Ye than Beto, doing the same amount of energy generation, right? So Ye's energy issues are going to be monumental, absolutely monumental, and I would say damn near impossible to deal with in a solo Electro team at C0. The only way you can really do it is with that 4-star weapon, probably, and like Emblem of Severed Fates and shit. It's just, and at that point it's like not worth it, in which case what you're doing then is just building her for her turrets, like just her totems. And then just don't build energy recharge at all on her. Like, just build her for her totems and then just burst whenever. That's, like, not great damage, but it's like, if you're just using her for casual play in the overworld, one, enemies drop a lot of particles. You don't need to burst every enemy. Like, it's actually okay to not build an energy recharge if, like, that's how you play the game. If you're just kind of like out in the overworld, like this guy, like, do I need to burst on him at all? No.
Picked the wrong
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think that MiHoYo is aware of what they did with Ye, right? Like they really made her dependent on Raiden, but the problem is that she needs Raiden, but like Raiden doesn't need her. So that weapon is really kind of like the consolation prize for those who want to use Ye but don't have Raiden. It's like, you really should probably consider that weapon. Like, why? Because there's not like other really good options for her. The energy recharge weapons that we would have for a Catalyst user are not great. There's the Hakushin ring, which is okay, but it's like really support based. Then there's like what is there? There's Favonius. I don't even have any. I don't even have any weapons. Like I don't even use any of the energy recharge weapons. You have Favonius and you have Sacrificial Frag. Well, Sacrificial Fragments just generates more energy because you can use your skill more, but it's not an energy recharge weapon for Catalyst. It's Elemental Mastery. So remember, the Sacrificial Catalyst is not actually energy recharge like all the other weapons. And she probably capped at 3 turrets, and she definitely is. So like that's not going to help you. So you're stuck with Favonius or I think Wine and Song, which is just trash tier. There is no good energy recharge catalyst, really, for her. Let's say you want to do a Hakushin ring. Well, if you do that, you can't run a mono Electro team, which is actually probably her best team. If you ran a team with Ye, you can't run. Let me just go confirm this. I think she needs to trigger the reaction. Right? So one of Ye's best teams will be like Ye, Raiden, Sarah, and an Animo. Like probably Jean because you need a healer, or Sayu. But you could probably get away with like Sucrose with Prototype Amber or whatever. Or just run no healer. But if you do that, if you run 3 Electro with no with an Animo, which is again one of her best teams, there's a couple problems with that. One, you're never ever gonna get the, unless the enemy has an inherent element. Electro Resonance doesn't trigger from Swirl, so you've actually not really solved your energy issues a whole lot. If you use Hakushin Ring, me confirm. After character equipped with this weapon triggers an elemental reaction. This is like the only viable energy recharge catalyst for Yay, right? Because it's an offensive weapon or whatever, but it's not great even this energy recharge. But here's the thing: if you run 3 Electro with an Animo, Yay will never trigger this, right? The Animo has to trigger this. Like, right? Like, Yay can't trigger Swirl using this. So if you run a mono Electro team with Yay, this weapon is pointless on her. So they really had to make an energy recharge catalyst for her because they gave her such trash energy economy. And there's just no good energy recharge weapons for her otherwise. So, like, it's good they did it. It's really necessary, though. It's like, she would be the, like, most frustrating character in the world. Yeah, I mean, that's like, even if you wanted to run her main DPS, which she's, like, not super good. You do have to bring her back on field pretty frequently, but it's like, yeah. Yeah, and you have to kill your darling to do it.
Humble supplication.
Should I save this money?
So, if you look at this team, actually, Venti does a couple things here that are pretty nice. You're probably thinking Venti can help Battery Yay by doing the energy refund on his burst. Just always assume he's not gonna, because Electro is the least, that's what, second from the last priority. I think it goes Pyro, Hydro, Electro, Cryo. You're not going to run Cryo with Yay, probably. Unless you're doing a really weird thing where you're just using her turrets for Eula or something. Oh, just don't do that. Just use Fishbowl for that. But if you run an Electro Charge team, they're like always going to be Hydro. If you run an Overload team, they're always going to be Pyro, right? So don't assume he's going to help the energy economy for Yay. You're probably going to still need Fischl or Raiden. But you see the team I have here is Toma and not like Zhongli. So Zhongli is actually going to be less damage overall probably because we're already going to get a lot of shred from Venti. And we can get overloads from Toma. So I'll have to build Toma for this. There's going to be a lot of Pyro application. Yeah, I think that like a perfectly viable alternative to this team, if you wanted to run a healer, is just no. You're good, Lemon. What's up? Is just popping
We'll need a strategy.
Kokomi here. Totally works great too. Like the question is like overload versus electrocharge. From my opinion, it's like you could also run Bennett, of course. The one reason like I just have Toma here is just because like if you notice this team, is very strategically not including Kazuha. Even though I have Kazuha C2, who will be fucking great for Yay. You'll see I'm not including Bennett. I'm not including Kazuha. I'm including Toma. But you could swap in even like Xingqiu or Kokomi. I'm assuming that I built enough Toma, along with like the crowd control from Venti, like doesn't really need a healer. Which I think will be pretty mostly true. Like if you're using Venti, it's because he works there. And if he works there, you will take no damage, right? But also if you have a shielder and you have overload, then they actually keep enemies away too. So it's even against corrosive enemies, it's like fine. Generally speaking, if Venti can suck up the enemies. So let me find. Was there a domain that I can go to? I mean, I guess like here. Yeah. My Venti has a level 1 bow on, so I'm hopeful he won't kill everything immediately. I mean, we'll see. These enemies are. So the idea behind this team is I almost should take her weapon off too, actually. I'm gonna take their shit off. Because they're gonna kill everything. Oh, look at that drip. Thomas already do no damage, so it's fine. So my goal here is like I want to infuse him with pyro, which will actually help Thomas' energy issues, which isn't necessary. But then the external hits will be electro, so they're actually the trigger. That would actually mean shit that I probably shouldn't use Toma. Elemental Mastery build. So actually, maybe I should. Let me just make him electro. Otherwise, I guess the Elemental Mastery build on Toma is maybe superfluous, but it'll be like we'll see. Let me just make it pyro to start with.
Check this out.
Think you can get away?
Okay.
Try not to injure.
But I mean, that's just like that's pretty baller. Oh, I didn't use Toma's burst actually. Shit.
No rest for the.
Oh, and
Blitz.
just because there's so much mobs.
Brace yourselves.
Let me restart it, and I have all their bursts back. Like, if you're using Yay on this kind of shit, then actually, like, her energy issues are not really a problem. Which is why I kind of think this is the way to use her. So if you think about Raiden instead as being, like... Basically, if you look at, like, a hypercarrier Raiden team as, like, Raiden, Kazuha, Bennett, I kind of think it makes sense to think about, like, swapping out Kazuha for Venti, and swap out Yay for Raiden, and then Fischl in for Sarah. It's like almost mirroring it. It's like mirroring Hypercarry Raiden, but it's like Bizarro team. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? Like, so this is Yay. This is Bennett, this is Sarah, and this is Kazuha. It's the exact same makeup, but you'll notice that the content and where, like, what they work on is just vastly different, right? It's like Hypercarry Raiden, but it works on mobs instead of bosses and shit. Of course you could canvas, but then you're just not using Bennett. And is Yay... It's going to be a lot of tedious swapping to do that for very little gain. And actually it will be a downgrade. So Hypercarry Raiden is typically it's Raiden, Kazuha, Bennett, and Sarah is the usual makeup of that team. There's modifications you can make to it, but that's generally speaking the ideal team for Hypercarry Raiden. The reason why it's called Hypercarry Raiden is because what you're doing is sending all of the buffs forward to Raiden. And that makes the most sense because she's cracked, right? Now, the problem with, like, any of those things, if you, like, swapped out Bennett and popped in Yay, you just do less damage on that team because buffing Raiden with Bennett is better than using Yay. There's almost no team with Raiden and Yay that is worth it because Raiden is just better being buffed than using Yay in any of those slots. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there are speedrun tactics you could do with her C6 or whatever to, like, speed through, like, waves or rotations, but yeah. C3 Raiden, you can beat speedrun records with the Hypers whales if all you have is C3 Raiden and, like, C6 Sarah or whatever. You're like in the ballpark. You don't need her C6 to, like, compete in, like, top tier speedruns. Right? She's just busted as fuck. So popping Yay on that team is a loss. In any makeup of that team, it's a loss, right? It's like popping in Yay instead of Sarah is a loss. Popping in Yay instead of Kazuha is a loss. Popping in Yay instead of Bennett is a loss. So while those might be Yay's best teams, it's her best teams because Raiden is busted, but it's not Raiden's best team because Yay is not busted, right? Do you know what I'm saying? because Raiden is so strong, it just hurts Raiden to do it. But then they made EA need Raiden in terms of her energy generation. Hence, this team is using the same general concept of that team, which is an electro battery in this case. It's almost the reverse, right? Instead of Raiden battering her own buffer, it's just like Fischl is buffing Yay. Venti is going to be providing some energy for at least the Pyro, because Toma, unlike Bennett, is struggling with energy, right? And then this is an overload-based team, so this team will actually have, like, if you consider the fact that, like, Kazuha can suck up enemies and then Raiden can just one-shot them, I'm not going to tell you that that team is going to struggle in an AoE situation, but if Venti can suck them up, then it is superior and can hold down enemies better. There's also another thing which I haven't really talked about, which is Ye's totems actually have small area of effect. They target a single enemy each, but if you can use Venti, she can maybe hit all the enemies with each totem each hit, which dramatically increases her damage, and Kazuha can't do that for her.
Cider in hand.
Yeah, and the world is lucky that they waited on Fischl to put Fischl on that banner, because, and as you can see, like, I'm not trying to pretend like I've invented something that is like, oh, no one has seen this. MiHoYo is actually pretty smart and does, like, seemingly know what they've done to their characters, right? They gave Sarah, like, they've only put Sarah on Raiden's banner. If you get C2 Raiden, you likely have gotten C6 Sarah. C6 Sarah is like Sarah is essentially constellation locked to be C6, and MiHoYo knows that, and it's actually balanced that way, assuming that you will be pulling her C2 Raiden, and they will only just keep putting Sarah on that banner. Sarah is a 4-star balanced on her C6 specifically for Raiden, and that's where she is best, and she's the best on that slot. Fischl is exactly that for Yay. Unless you have Raiden, you need a 4-star, and it needs to be Fischl, essentially. Like, there is no alternative for Yay. You either use her on a Raiden team, in which case your Raiden team is worse, or you need Fischl, in which case there's actually a reason to use Fischl instead of Raiden on this team. Broke your tooth on what? What are you eating? Are you chewing on chicken bones? Like, what are you doing? How did you break your tooth? What did you do? And I'm gonna pop in that.
Time for takeoff.
Okay, now I'll use it first. Official.
Surrender and be gentle.
I mean, you can't. Here you cannot tell who's triggering, but certainly everyone. But you can see, like, Toma will trigger in a lot of cases because Lisa's burst is more or less a good analog for Ye's totems.
Supporting fire.
Come a little closer.
And Toma's hitting. I'm kind of feeling this team against, like, just shit mobs.
Here we go.
Remember, everyone has level 1 weapon slot.
Brace yourself.
Oh, come on.
By royal
I'm done for.
Oof, poor Toma. He's really
Here we
struggling.
go.
If we ever get, like, a floor that
You're
makes
in for a
sense,
little shock.
like this in Abyss,
Just
this feels good. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't understand their character. It's like, where are they characterized to be, like, weird, kind of, like, vanity obsessed, like, narcissistic? Why is that? I don't understand why that is the case. I understand that they are that. I just don't understand why that is the case. But so that, like, if you're gonna use Overload, I guess I could demonstrate. I did a video on this also, but I'll just do a quick demo if you haven't seen it. Let me give Venti back his weapon before I forget. So, if you're not aware, like, you will constantly hear people talk about ICD, and they'll, like, almost never, ever reference the fact that, like, ICD is per enemy, okay? So, this is just a quick demo again, why this works and why I'm using this team. So again, if you do Homa's Burst, and you can hit different enemies each time, you see how I'm overloading every single hit? See, every single hit of his burst is hitting every enemy with overload, right? Overload is a, like, unique reaction that he can just every hit, right? So that's the idea of using Venti here, is just to group the enemies together. And then you can overload them, right? And then you can assume every single hit of Toma. So if you can do like 15k even overloads, right? It's actually like solid damage. How can we pick one by one? You don't have to pick. You hit each enemy. You see how I hit every single one? Exactly, yeah. The overload will keep them together. If you can keep them, like, either with a Pyro Aura or an Electro Aura, again, it won't matter if you run this team. If Venti accidentally absorbs Electro, it doesn't hurt you because Toma will trigger overloads every time. If he absorbs Pyro, it won't hurt you because then just, like, Yay and Fischl will do it. But they'll all kind of all do it all the time, if that makes sense. Overload and electro reactions in general are just kind of hard to control for. But if you can, and because you have 2 electro, you are maximizing your opportunities for Toma to trigger. So that's why instead of trying to build his damage up, just instead of putting don't put, like, build him in a hybrid of elemental mastery and HP and energy recharge. Put 0 damage into pyro damage, 0 into crit. Just do HP, energy recharge, and elemental mastery. All of his damage would come from overload damage. So again, you don't have to pick, but again, you just, because it's an AoE that's actually useful to you, if that makes sense? It's not that, that makes it easier, it doesn't make it harder to do. Because, like, you'll have AoE Electro from Lisa, or sorry, from Ye's totems, they'll be applying Electro to multiple enemies. Fischl actually applies an AoE to start with, and then hers also, right? And again, you can use Venti to swirl Electro to start with too. So it's like, you can keep Electro applied pretty reliably. And the goal here is, again, to just have his thing hit every enemy, but if the enemies all have Electro AoE on them, he can overload every single hit, and each overload hit will hit every enemy. That makes sense? So, anytime you see a character who has, like, bad multipliers but can trigger a full reaction, a transformative reaction, in my opinion, like Electro MC, yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's per enemy, and that's why it works. Right? If you have Electro applied to a group of enemies, the only thing that you're limited by is, I think there's a universal cooldown that you can only trigger overloads every 0.5 seconds or something. But Toma's like every second. It's like that won't be the deciding factor, if that makes sense. So, consider overload. But obviously you can run Kokomi here.
Take heart.
If you wanted a healer. Her jellyfish actually has pretty sizable vertical range.
Allow me.
They're all gonna die. They're just dead. Man, I really wish there were just... another world level, just more HP enemies. But her jellyfish will hit enemies higher up. I bet I can show you on, like, over here. In, like, this area. There's, like, a platform. I think it'll hit them. They seem to hit the towers. Let's find some enemies here. Shorten his elemental. Why are you trying to do that? Shorten his elemental skill just for more energy, or what? What's the goal there? Like, does elemental skill do a lot of damage when you haven't built? Like, for me, it's just kind of negligible anyway. So I don't, like, I just don't bother. I would just use the Contain Crossbeer on him on an overload build. The only thing is, like, Kaching also just already struggles with, like, knockback and stuff. But let's see, like... Oh. She just spins around and then does it. That was not the goal here. I wish you could just fucking aim everything. I hate that this, like, shit just requires you to just trust the auto aim.
You can get away.
Like, come on.
Hold the line.
Okay. Let's see if we can hit that guy up there. She should be able to, like, any enemy in his burst. She's like...
Allow me.
That's about as high, right? Yeah. Like, I've never seen an enemy fly that high with Venti, but she's hitting that high. There will be no trouble whatsoever to get Kokomi in the burst. So you can actually, you could consider, honestly, just consider sacrificial fragments on Kokomi on this team. Thrilling Tales is probably better, but do consider that, like, her jellyfish is on an, like, how long is the cooldown? It's like 20 seconds?
Hold the line.
Yeah, her jellyfish is on a 20-second cooldown, which is just an insanely long time. What's up, Peppermint? I didn't see him. Oh, yeah, Sacrificial Polearm would be sweet. The Continued Crossbeer is pretty close to it, because at least it gives it energy. But you might want to consider Sacrificial Fragments on her, because if it's an Electro Charge team, let's say he did get absorbed in Electro, she might trigger Electro Charge, which Elemental Mastery would help. I'm not saying build for that, but it's more about the placement of the jellyfish. So if you get a mob room where Venti works, you know that you don't get to control where he shoots it, right? He just fucking shoots the thing, right? So being able to move her jellyfish underneath Venti's burst after he shoots on, like, half that cooldown, it's just so good. So, Sacrificial Fragments, in my opinion, hyper underrated on Kokomi in certain cases. Thrilling Tales is going to give you better damage in an optimal situation. Using Moonglow if she's on field, great. Prototype Amber, good. Like, kind of middle ground on all that because it gives you energy back. Do not sleep on Sacrificial Fragments if you're going to use Kokomi in a team like this, because again, like Yay, right? If she's mostly off field, she's not getting a lot of energy. If the enemy moves away from the jellyfish, you generate no energy for 20 seconds, right? It's like an insanely long cooldown on it. So do consider Sacrificial Fragments if you're going to run this team, because it is an Electro Charge team, because she could theoretically trigger, especially if, like, Venti absorbs Electro, and because you want to continually be generating particles with your jellyfish, it's just it's a very viable option in my opinion. That's a shit ton of Mora on your Ganyu. Kokomi jellyfish, yeah. The downtime is it's so 12 seconds, so the downtime is 8 seconds, but the cooldown is 20 seconds. Right, so the duration is 12, so there's 8 seconds of downtime, but you don't actually have downtime because you reset her burst. But when you burst, it resets the duration on this. So you can have 100% uptime on her burst. Or sorry, her jellyfish, right? So let me just illustrate. You have to do it with like enough time that her burst can reset it before it like disappears, right? So again, the duration is 12. So you have to do it before like there's 8 seconds left, right? Because it's 20 seconds. So if you do it after 8 seconds, the jellyfish will be gone, right? So if you burst when there's like 7 seconds left on it, you're like good, right? Okay, yeah, it's like 10's a good. A free-to-play account? I don't know. I don't think it's that helpful for me to make a free-to-play account. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like people are just doing that because they're running out of shit to do. They just desperate for stuff to do. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's like that helpful to make a free-to-play account. So probably not. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like a lot of time investment to do it. This is not my full-time job, so it's not like I got time to go make like a bunch of other accounts. I just got one account. This is my one account. Yeah. Wait 8 seconds.
Allow me.
Right. So you want to use it before like that timer's like 10 seconds left or whatever.
Covenant of the deep.
Right. So you'll see here that the jellyfish keeps going, right? And now I can lay the jellyfish down again and have 100% uptime on it, right?
Hold the line.
But you can't move it, right? That's the problem. So it's not about the sacrificial fragments isn't about the uptime on the jellyfish, because you can have full uptime on the jellyfish. The problem is if you're fucking around with Venti and you're mobbing around, or like let's say if you're in Abyss, you kill one wave of enemies, then they always spawn the other side, right? It's never like you can just keep everything in one spot. And again, if you drop the jellyfish, that's all well and good, but there's no way to know if Venti will shoot the thing there, right? So you're gonna want to be able to replace it. Yeah, I mean, and consider that, like, the assumption here is also that you're probably running Tenacity of the Millilith Kokomi, right? So, if your concern is you're running sacrificial fragments, but that means you have to give up Thrilling Tales. Now, if on top of that, like the Hydra application, the energy generation you get from making sure your jellyfish can hit enemies and stuff isn't enough, consider that this is 48% attack on one character for 10 seconds. If your jellyfish isn't hitting things, Tenacity of the Millilith isn't triggering, you're losing full uptime on 20% attack on the whole team, right? Like, don't forget that like your jellyfish is also triggering this if you have her build for support. Sacrificial Fragments loses you a little bit of attack from like bursting or whatever with Thrilling Tales, but it gets you better uptime on Tenacity of the Millilith for more reliable jellyfish placement. So again, don't sleep on Sacrificial Fragments if you're running support Kokomi on this team. Tenacity of the Millith is going to it's going to be really good, because it's going to be passively buffing attack, even for Yay while she's off field, right? Is Venti better than Kazuha and Freeze comps? In most cases, yeah, actually. Only like, if you can suck up enemies with Venti. He's a tighter pull. And Kazuha can shatter, which can be disruptive depending on your application, right? Like when he jumps up and he slams down. Yeah. Like she's not always going to trigger. Like the elemental mastery of sacrificial fragments is not. It's not the ideal stat in the world, but like that's not the point. It won't be useless, but it's a nice benefit. But what you really want here from this is to be able to replace the jellyfish at will, right? You can only have one jellyfish, by the way. You don't get two jellyfishes, but you can place it more like at will. It will get some electrocharge bonus, but it'll keep up the tenacity of the Millilith buff, and it will keep generating energy for her. Again, if the jellyfish isn't hitting things, it's not generating particles, and then she can't burst anyway. Like, right? You can keep the jellyfish uptime up if you have the energy to burst to refresh it, which doesn't move it, but still at least refreshes it. But even that you can't do if the jellyfish isn't hitting, right? So just consider it. That's all I'm saying. It seems like a smart use of that weapon for Kokomi on that team, especially because, again, if you're using Venti and not Kazuha, if you drop this and you have Kazuha, it's easy to just bring Kazuha to the jellyfish, and then you can suck them in. But that's not how Venti targeting works. So I'm speaking specifically for like Kokomi on this team with Venti. I would recommend Sacrificial Fragments because its targeting is just trash, basically. Should you say pulling for Kazuha or pull Yay? I'm gonna say right off the bat, I am struggling to find teams for Yay, and I have like every character. So I don't even think that it's not that like Yay is replaceable or whatever. I actually am actively like going out of my way to find a place for her because there are better options in almost every team. So let me like show you an example of a team that I like. Here's a team that I run a lot.
More companions!
It's this team, and I'll typically put Singcho here. Sometimes I'll run Kokomi here, but like this team, like take this team for example. If you run Beto here for the stagger resistance or whatever else, you can't put Yay here because Yay is not a good battery, and so now both Beto and Yay will struggle for energy. If you take Beto out and you put in Yay, now you have the issue of like, what do you do? Are you interrupting Yoimiya? Like your rotation duration can be pretty long here and kind of awkward, but then you're also just like, you're not gaining anything, right? Yay's actually not going to do more damage on this team because one, like, there's no Animo here to pull things together or whatever. So now, like, what are you going to do? Okay, so would you want to swap Fischl out and put in Venti? Well, you can't because you need Fischl to battery Yay. Okay, so then what do you put in Venti and then Yoimiya? It's like you're running into like really hard fifth character syndromes where it's like, okay, so then Yoimiya and Yay don't have synergy. Then like, what do you put? Where do you put her on this team? We covered the Raiden hypercarry team, right? Which is just this team, but you throw in Bennett. I use Jean here because, like I like Jean. My Jean is strong and she's busted, and I don't need Bennett on this team. So I typically run this team, which is essentially Raiden hypercarry, but I like this is Raiden hypercarry. Okay, there is no character here where she's better. Okay. Again, if I put Jean here, any other character I take out is worse. It's like, what other team do you put her in? I was fucking around this team. There's this team. I actually I usually
The
run
threads of your
this
fate lie
team
in my
with
hands.
Ito, but Yay doesn't really work here because she's going to struggle for energy. Now, you could just say that, like, you just use her totems and don't use her burst, but then it's not actually an improvement over official. So I'm like, what teams are you using here with? And so again, if you have a C0 Raiden, it's actually, so the one time it actually probably works, if your Raiden is C0 and your Sarah is not C6, then putting in Yay on this team, Bennett, Kazuha, Yay, Raiden, if your Sarah is not C6 and your Raiden is low investment, so like C0 Raiden, that's a decent spot for your Yay, I think. It's not a huge upgrade over any other option, but it's a decent spot for Yay. If your Raiden is C0 and your Sarah is not like C6, that's a decent spot for Yay. I'm not in that position, but if you are in that position, it's like that's a decent spot for Yay. So that's actually the free to play. So the free to play
I won't hold you back.
Raiden team. So
Stay close
Hypercarrier
and you
Raiden is
will
actually usually the best,
Here,
even
let me help
even for Raiden. So like the
I
the
want to
low
help.
cost alternative is this team. So what you would typically do is use Sucrose instead of Kazuha. Pizza Hut Lemon. Pairing Raiden with Yoimi, I'm afraid Raiden is too overshadowed. Wait, so your Yoimiya was too strong for Raiden, or Raiden was too strong for Yoimiya? For me, it's just like the rotation's kind of long, but it's actually more that I like the stagger resistance on this team. My overall team DPS was pretty good when I was using this team with Raiden, Sarah, and either like Bennett or even Singsho here, and you basically be taking turns with Yoimiya and Raiden. You just kind of alternate between the two. It was a good team damage wise, but note like just the presence of Singsho and Beto here makes playing Yoimiya so much better, which you don't really get with Raiden. There's some amount of staggering that happens on small enemies from Raiden's E and Overload, but it's not reliable. This is much comfier to play for Yoimiya. It's like if you don't have Zhongli, like these two together, Xingqiu and Beidou make Yoimiya's life so much easier. Just like a ton easier. So here's like a free to play version. So what you would do is use Lisa with Thrilling Tales. And the reason why you're using Lisa is for the defense shred, and also to build resolve stacks for Raiden. And you're using Sucrose because, like, obviously you like don't have Kazuha. Kazuha is obviously much better in this role than Sucrose, but it's fine, right? So if you've been running this team, which is totally fine and viable, and again, if you this is like it's a low investment rate, and this is assuming your Sarah is not C6, and you don't have Kazuha, throwing in Yay right here is a decent option. It's not a huge upgrade over using Lisa in this spot, but it's like an upgrade. The second your Raiden is C2, and then you now have like C6 Sarah, Yay no longer is a good fit in this spot. So
Let's do this.
it's kind of a suffering from success kind of thing. Like Raiden just gets to be so busted that like
Let the wind
it's hard to fit characters in your team because all she really
Alright,
wants is
let's
just
head
to be
off.
buffed.
What
Right?
is the
It just
situation?
makes sense damage wise the buffer. It doesn't mean you can't do it for fun. It doesn't mean you can't do it because you like her or whatever. Again, as you can see, I'm using Jean on this team even though Bennett is a DPS gain because I like Jean. There's actually some gain here because I do have C2 Jean, so I do actually attack more with Raiden, so it's actually not a direct loss of like full amount of Bennett buff. There's actually some gain by using Gene for reduced burst cooldown 5% and then attack speed on Raiden, but it's definitely less damage than Bennett. But there's not a team like that for Yay, really. So, let's go back to Lisa. I'm trying to think if there's like any other
Oh,
versions
are you
of a
taking
team that
me
makes
out?
sense to try out for Yay. You you absolutely, of course, could just use her for her totems again and just like not burst. If you for the overworld, that's like generally how I play anyway. Like I very rarely burst. So C0 Raiden, the best team for C0 Raiden is actually Hyper Carry still. That's her best team, even at C0. The reason why it isn't the best team for most people is because they already have Shangling built. Most people don't want to go out of their way to build Lisa to fill that role or whatever. Well, they didn't get like C6 Sarah and their C0 Raiden or whatever, but it's like, even at C0, the Hyper Carry team is actually still Raiden's best team. Even at C0. But, again, for most people, Raiden National is better, because it makes up for like the worse your Raiden is, the better that Raiden National will be. And again, it's like if your Shangling has already been built, just use that team. Do you know what I'm saying? Like why? Like you're gonna build a support Lisa just because like it's like it's really marginal gains even. It's like very small. So it's like Kazuha, Shangling, Yay, Hydro, alternate overvape. Sure, you could do it. Kazuha, Shangling. Your your Shangling would have to be built like it is on like if you play like Sukokuma team, that Shangling is gonna need like 300 energy recharge. Like that's not actually even a joke. You will need so much energy recharge running Shangling as the solo pyro on a team. Especially when you factor in that EA doesn't generate a ton. And depending on who that Hydro is, they don't necessarily generate a ton. You'll need just a ton of energy recharge on Shangling. Doesn't mean you can't. She's not going to do a lot of damage, but it's whatever. I mean, like again, you should look up Sukokuma if you haven't, because it's like it can work because what you're trying to do there isn't necessarily to try to like vaporize a ton of her hits and get a lot of Shangling damage. The goal is that you're kind of making up for that lost damage elsewhere with like overload damage and such. So it's like it ends up being okay there, but it's a really tedious team to play, and it's like kind of bad. Not gonna lie, it's like kind of bad. So like it's one of those memes that just picked up, but it's like nobody actually used that fucking team except for like two YouTubers that made a video about it because it was like to generate views. It's like it's just not like it's not like the hottest. It's not the new fucking national team or something. Like right, the national team is good because it's fucking easy to use. Sugokumon is tedious and not that good. Also, like all combined to like yeah. Anyway, so I would say not an amazing team. What you could do, I mean, you'd get overvapes anyway if you just replace Kazuha replace Shangling with just Bennett. Like Kazuha will infuse Pyro, and so you're gonna get your overloads that way. And you can C6 your Bennett, and Kazuha then will just be triggering Pyro anyway. So I'd say that. I just say do that, man. I just say use Kazuha for your Pyro. Kazuha, Bennett. Um, but the problem you have there is that Ye is also the solo Electro on that team. Fischl already would be better because Fischl isn't energy locked like Ye will be. if you want to run EA in a solo Electro team, I'm telling you, you will need an insane amount of energy recharge and probably her C1. Like, even with her C1, it's like running solo Electro with C1, you probably still need like 160 energy recharge. She's gonna need like 200 energy recharge if you want to run her on a team as the only Electro. She's C0. Like an insane amount. Like, just use Fischl. At that point, just use Fischl. Because you're either not using her burst, in which case she's not doing anything extra, or she's got so much energy recharge that she's just doing less damage. Right? So it's like, just use Fischl, basically. Have I tried shangling with the Katane Spear? I haven't crafted the Katane Spear. That is the weapon of choice for
I created another
this
universe
Pokemon
and found
build
paradise.
because of that energy refund. I do plan on building it for Toma at some point. Like, if I make Toma Elemental Mastery build, I do intend on crafting it for it. Actually, I threw this on because of the Elemental Mastery, but it's just a resource thing for me. I just don't have the ore to craft it. I've actually been crafting this weapon. I've been using Sayu, and I actually wanted to just build this weapon first. So I just got this to R4, and so Katane's on my list to craft. I just haven't gotten to craft it yet because I gotta just get the ore to do it, basically. This weapon on Sayu is dope. It's like really good. Side benefit to it. Side benefit to it is if I run her with Shenhe and she gets cryo infusion, then those quills get that little bonus damage on her skill. My Sayu is C6, so it does, it makes it hard because I was gonna build her like DPS, like Animo DPS, but once she's got this, you really just should just build her full EM. So I have her build Elemental Mastery. You'll note that her energy recharge is just not enough, actually, 147. You get enough with Sacrificial Frag. If you do this twice, Sacrificial Greatsword, you get more energy, it's okay. But I think it will be relatively sufficient with this. Now it's at R4 and I'm out of Claymore things. There should be enough energy. I still have to level her. She's only level 70, but it's pretty solid. It's actually pretty fun. On this team, I'll show you my team. Actually, it's a really dumb team at the moment. I'm just friendship farming essentially. These are like my characters who aren't at friendship level 10, basically. If I can find an enemy that won't die immediately, it's pretty hard to do, frankly. I guess I got a Primo. I'll do Primo Geo. Let me get my burst on Ganyu quick.
Obey! Unleash!
Yeah, energy recharge stands on Sayu. It's not a bad call. I'm gonna try to run her without, but I'm also not if you're not using her in serious content, she does thrive better in overworld shit, and you kind of don't need it. Do you know what I mean?
Next on the agenda.
If you want to use her in Abyss, then probably put her on energy recharge stands, but she doesn't. You don't really need to burst on cooldown in the overworld. Do you know what I mean? So I actually think Sayu can actually get by without a lot of energy recharge, even though she does if you were gonna burst on cooldown. You kind of just don't need to, because again, she's best for just fucking around on the world map, and you don't need to burst on cooldown, and you also get a lot more energy when you're killing a lot of little mobs. But I'll show you why it's kind of nice on this team. It's actually kind of decently, shockingly good synergy. So what I can do is I can do this.
Cryo incarnate. This is long overdue.
Quick, get some more quilt. If I then do this, see how I got pyro, and now I can be melting. I can I can actually start melting and reverse melting. Which is not amazing damage, but it's It's not the worst damage in the world.
Transfiguration.
Considering she's level 70.
What was that escape method again? Ninjutsu.
I didn't actually shred anything, but yeah.
Take your true form. Born of ice and frost.
I think because Amber has so much pyro that like even if you have multiple cryo bursts going, it like doesn't matter. Right? She can overtake. And you can just always get although, you know, you can't trigger Viridescent Venerer off field, dude. Did you know that? She has to do it on field. I can show you. So I'll drop her burst. I'll drop her burst and then I'll apply cryo with first swirl, and then I'll show you the difference. It's all good. Yeah. I mean, for anyone who wants to just see, I'll demo it. I'm gonna get her burst. So that's why it could be like. That's why like there's teams where like Sucrose is on field, and that's actually pretty solid for that because you get more uptime on the the Viridescent Venerer buff, debuff.
Away I go. Get him.
200k overworld is one shot.
Schedule. Born of ice and frost.
For what? One shot what?
My will embodied. No one escapes my.
200k overworld is one. What? 200k one shot for what? I'm not sure I understand. Oh. The enemies there have a lot more HP for sure. That's for sure. This might be easier to show. Yeah, bosses have like 1,000,000 HP in Abyss. Give or take. He use like
I
Ayaka.
await your
Yeah, it's pretty long, huh? Let me just see how much my Ayaka does. 4. Oh, does it keep... Oh, because I have... Why is it going? Alright, 43. Just want to get a baseline for what it is. Somehow I'm not critting even when it's frozen. How am I not crit? It's like I have like 90% crit. Okay. So 43 without 36. Maybe it's not that high. It says frozen. Yeah, coming in the Discord, dummy. Okay. Let me reset them. So it's like 4,300 with their attacks. So now what I need to do is drop Sayu and then apply Cryo, right? I'm gonna drop Sayu. Okay. Of course he does this. Of course he does this. Like when I can't fucking hit him, dude. Oh my god, it's so annoying. I swear, if I just had a collection of every time this game has fucked up everything I'm ever trying to test in every single conceivable way. If every single time I want to do anything, the game will fuck it up.
Take flight.
It's the most tedious bullshit ever. Just give me a practice dummy. Just give me a practice dummy. It's so annoying. Goddamn. It's the most annoying shit. Just let me test some shit, please. God damn it. Okay, starting over from scratch because this game sucks dick. Alright. Find a new enemy. There's a ruin guard here somewhere. Okay, we'll go to this one. What was I doing? 4,300 or so, give or take.
Quick! Watering works on plants, but not people.
Okay. Of course, it's gonna be hydro. Because it's raining, it's probably gonna interfere with the cryo swirl. I'm just gonna have to wait it out. Of course, just one more tedious, dumb thing to get in the way of any kind of consistent testing. Alright. Let's try this again. Again, my goal here is to see, do I do more than 4,300? I'm going to drop Sayu's Burst and then apply Cryo, and it should still do about 4,300. Okay.
Ninjutsu!
Yeah, 43. If I can crit. Of course I can't crit, but yeah, 43 still. Right. Versus now if I swirl. 5,000, right? So, you gotta have her on field. You don't have to stay on field to keep getting it, you just have to pop her back on field for that swirl. So.
Go, Baron Buddy!
Something to consider.
No escape! Transfiguration!
Bro. Spin move. Like, who thinks of these enemy moves? Like, wouldn't it be cool if you just had to run away for 45 seconds? Like, who thought of that? It's so stupid.
Take your true form! Whirling snow!
This is dumb. This is a dumb move. This is a dumb move. You can't iframe it, you gotta just run away. It's just not good. Okay. Especially when you have Ayaka, and it's like, they never, ever, ever address the fact that, like, I'm stuck. Like, when you have enemies that, like, make you dodge, but then they have characters who get fucking stuck on that. How is that fair or good? Why won't they just fix it? So stupid. Anyway, okay. All of that, 20 minutes to just show that you can't Viridescent Inventor or Shred off field. But you can proc certain things, right? Like Freedom Sorn works off field. I believe his passive procs off field. So like if you were using like Kazuha, he does retain this buff, just not the Viridescent Inventor buff. Do I know Mona and run normally in Abyss? Oh yeah, before you start. Yeah. Sure, you can go ahead. Or if you want to open it for discussion, pop it in the general chat, get some feedback. Just a chill Discord. Just pop on in if you're not in there. But yeah, this team is pretty. I would describe this team as a. Wait. This team with Ganyu here
Time to begin
is
work.
almost a perfect overworld team. It's like there's no enemy that this can't like kill. You have Pyro, you have Cryo, and you have Animo. You can run fast. You have a Claymore for Geo and Ore. You have Ganyu and Shenhe, which don't require like bursts. to do damage. They just like one-shot stuff. It's a pretty good overworld team. Your Aether? Do you which element Aether do you use? Geo. And there's just too much shit on the field for that, for me. It's just like, that's a lot of clutter. So if you do like, I mean just...
My will.
Just Shenna and Ganyu in general, just a lot of damage. Won't Kazuo be better than Shenna? Well, it depends on what your goal is. I mean, Kazuo is great in the overworld. It's like, the things that Sayu brings, it's like, you do run fast. Kazuo is better than Sayu, but it's just like, this consolidates a healer, a transportation, and like heavy attacks for Geo and 4, and run faster, which is good. The thing that is like good about yeah, I mean maybe threw in like Kazuo instead of Amber or whatever, but it's almost always very nice to have Pyro. Like let's say I came across an area with like a Cryo mage, like 2 Animo and Cryo, not really good. If you replace Kazuo with Shenhe,
I'll race you there.
like the thing you lose is just the ability to just nuke in like on demand. That means find like an enemy here. There's some enemies up there. Somehow when I want to find an enemy, I can never find an enemy. God. There's some up here though, I'm aware. Only Geo. Yeah, that's why I run Fish on my Geo team. I don't like having one element. I mean, it's just nice to be able to just sit here and nuke with like no energy requirements. Oops, you got it.
Transfiguration.
Of course, you can just run in there with Kazuo and just do one heat. The question is like, do you like to aim and just nuke stuff from range? Do you know what I mean? Geo-resonance stack? What do you mean? No. It's only just you get resonance for having 2 and that's it. Is that what you're asking? Like do you get double geo-resonance? Nope. Just the double just get 2. You just get the 2 there. Right? And we see here, a good reason why it's good to have Pyro, like, right? There's a lot of things that Pyro does in the overworld. Like these things. Lighting fires, shit like that.
My will involve.
I assume that's what your question was, right? No, but yeah, no, it's... Nope, and neither does, like, none of them do. Electro-resonance, Pyro, they're all, it's just 2.
We're way behind schedule.
The only resonance that requires 4 characters is the Rainbow Resonance, which is never really used. What about Yunjin, Ganyu, Aether, and Zhongli? Yunjin doesn't do anything on that team, unless you're using... What are you using Ganyu on? Shenhe... Well, Shenhe is a little bit easier... Compared to, like, Bennett, the reason why I don't think Shenhe is overkill is because she's not using her burst. Like, it doesn't really hurt you to do this. That's just a cooldown. Whereas I think, like, using Bennett's burst or using even, like, Sing Cho or... This is obviously it's actually about a challenge for Beto, even. And it's like, popping any bursts in the overworld to me is like... not, and that is also why Kazuha is good. Don't get me wrong. Like the reason why Kazuha is great is because he just can kill things with one E.
Next on the agenda.
It's fine if you. I don't understand who's the DPS in that team. If you're using Ganyu, then maybe if your Ganyu is like extremely busted. My Ganyu is not like that good. My Ganyu does like 27,000 on a hit, I think. Yeah, 27. No buffs or anything. That's not like that much. Maybe if your Ganyu's out here dropping like 40k or whatever.
My will embody.
But for mine, being able to being able to get 40k with Shenhe is nice. If you have Cryo Xingqiu for Yoimiya, if you have Cryo Xingqiu, then what you're actually going to do is reverse melt with your Yoimiya. I'm using Wanderer's Troop. But I don't really run melt. I'm actually just kind of lazy with my Ganyu build. This is the one you'd want to use for melt, but you'd want to use like 4-piece blizzard for freeze. So like the 48, you kind of want this number to be maybe like 58 or so if you're running melt. But actually, I often don't run melt. As you can see, I basically usually just run what's essentially like mono cryo, and you factor in that Ganyu has a crit buff on herself. It starts to get to be like, what do you add, like 35% crit to that? After the second, like after the first hit? So you add 20, and then if it's cryo applied, it's, another 15 on top of that. So it would be like plenty of crit. So it's a little deceptive on Ganyu. Obviously, that would be way more than enough for Ganyu if you were running 4-piece Blizzard. This is actually, I was looking for a build that would be like a decent all-around build for her, and this one is seeming to work best for me, I think. Basically, a Wanderer's Troop with enough crit that it works for melt. There's not enough elemental mastery, but if I were like sweating and trying to do a melt Ganyu, then what I'm actually going to end up doing is use Kazuha, who has a 200 elemental mastery buff anyway. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's fine. I think my Ganyu's talent levels are only level 8. I'll probably take it to 9 at some point, which should get me pretty close to 30k with no other buffs. Somehow he's shielding that whole thing. Pretty annoying, to be honest. There. Yeah, I think if I get to like like one more level will probably get me to like 28 something. Is there a bow like that? Oh yeah, I forget which one it is, but yeah, there is. I don't know if it's... I don't think it's better than like Prototype Crescent or Hamayumi on her though. Because yes, you get crit damage, but you can't ignore attack on her. You know what I mean? Like, if you have half the attack, it doesn't matter how much crit you have because, like, you're critting for less damage. You know what I mean? Right? You see how my Ganyu has 2,400 attack without any buffs? Like, that's valuable. That's valuable damage. You cannot ignore attack. And 3-star weapons just have really low base attack. There's characters where it doesn't matter, right? Like that's why Harbinger of Dawn was okay on It was okay on what's his name, Albedo, because Albedo is his skill doesn't scale on attack at all. Now he's got a better weapon now, but you know, Ganyu needs attack, man. I'd look at like Prototype Crescent, or I mean, it is harder to balance your crit stats, or whatever. But again, it doesn't help you to crit for a lot of crit damage if the crit and the crit damage is right. It's like critting low attack damage. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like my Kokomi does like 9k per auto attack. It doesn't need the crit to do a lot of damage. Yeah, there's times where one is better than the other, but it's like... I can usually like almost kill an enemy. I guess for there it does kill an enemy, but... usually just like... especially if I actually crit. Bro.
We're way behind schedule. Born of ice and frost.
Put it on the roof? Why did you put it on the roof? Why did you put it on the roof? What are you doing, Ganyu? Conscious for what? Is that what you need for that? I can't remember. Oh, that does remind me, because I was going to be like, is that for a quest or something? There is a quest, which... do you all know about this, like, secret, like, kill the target quest? Where you have to get the fortunes and stuff. I'm just doing it now. I've been putting it off, but I'm, like, still just doing it. So do people know this one? Which conscious quest are you talking about? Are you talking about the one in the, like, the ghost island where you have to go find the conscious? Is that the one that you're talking about? Oh, does Hamiyumi need it? But this is the one where you had to do... so you had to find a note. Oh, that one. Oh, is that the... I thought that was the Claymore. Is that... no, the Claymore was... that was the one hidden behind a cage. Like the door in, like, the electro field area, right? Okay, so the 3 chests. Okay. I forgot about that one. Okay, that was the bow. In my head, the bow was the other one that was... I'm confused with the Claymore. Okay, now I remember. Those conches. Yeah, okay. So, this quest, you had to pick up, an item here, I think it was. It's a note. And then you come here, you get a fortune, and then you have them decipher it. Then, once a day, you have to go kill a certain enemy, and then now I'm on this part of it. Or I guess I have to go over... or is it over here? I think this is the last day, but I think there's like another couple chunks of quests after this. Oh, is this that, like... is this that... great? Which one is this? Might there be like a trap door? Is that what I'm looking for? Is that this quest? I don't think I've done it. Damn. I think that's what it is. I think it's here. Have y'all done this quest? I'm like way behind on this fucking quest. Yeah, I mean, if you like it, it's whatever. Again, if you just do overworld stuff and you don't care about Abyss, then like don't worry about it. It don't matter. Okay, wait. Is it where am I supposed to go? Oh, right here. Like, it's not worth it to just pull for bigger numbers unless you're, like, really into, like, clearing stuff. Again, even if, like, the goal is to clear Abyss, it doesn't, you don't really get that much more. Like, consider your investment, right? If your investment is if your goal is not just to have fun and play the game or whatever, if you're pulling a character to clear Abyss, consider what you're gonna do there. You're gonna spend 10,000 Primo Gems to get an extra 150 or so Primo Gems or whatever every 2 weeks. Like, think if what you're doing is pulling characters and weapons and stuff to clear Abyss, it's gonna take you like 5 years of Abyss runs to return on the investment on those Primo Gems. You know what I'm saying? Unless your goal is just to have fun and shit, it's like, you know what I mean? So I think it's just good to get your mindset right. The Traveler, Savior of Humanity, Octavat, etc. Just got beat by someone. There's gotta be like, how many other damn quests? How many other quests have I just not done like this one? Alright, see you later, Peppermint. Well, if you wanted to find Lumine, just pick Lumine at the beginning. Oh, this is the real Ringo. You don't use your North America account? Well, you know, different outfits now. So there's one reason to use the North America account if you like the old outfits. What is this quest day gated now? Or can I now like
Next up.
Oh, thank God, I have Sunsetia and Radish here to help me on my quest. Thank God. Oh no,
Next
okay,
on the agenda.
that is pretty decent. Okay. That's fair, there's some,
On schedule.
there's some stuff here. Okay, alright.
Beautiful treasures are a cause for great happiness.
Could you get the stuff in here though? Was there stuff in here? I do remember that where you like would log out, but then I like totally forgot about it.
Next on the agenda.
What's the next? Isn't there? What was the next step of this quest? Maybe I missed it. Did she say what it was? What I'm supposed to do with this quest next? I actually don't know.
I won't get ready for the gliding champion of Mondstadt.
I don't know. Did I miss the dialogue? I guess I can always look it up. But I don't have a. I was expecting a quest. But but
I'll race you there.
no, I didn't get that.
Bet you can't keep up with me.
What am I supposed to do now? There's Amber's outfit. Amber's outfit is. It's not that different from her old outfit. It's just like a little bit of tweaks to
Jean will be upset
cover
if she
an extra
catches
couple
us
inches of
lazing
skin
around
on
like
that
this.
one. Yeah. I mean, you can see it. It's okay. It's fine. Her shorts are a little bit longer. On the back, at least. The front is okay. It's not that different. I think I actually prefer the old one. I think the brown a little bit better. I don't know. It's like not that different. It's like I don't really have like a strong preference. I think I prefer the brown, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's not that different. It's just not that different. I have all of Cheat's outfits, but I've been using this one because I like it. Actually, I even never paid one, but it's still like I'll probably swap this probably around for Jean. Actually, I like all of Jean's outfits like the same amount, basically. It's kind of annoying actually because Jean just has so many good picks. Yeah. Rosaria's actually I'm kind of torn about. I actually like Rosaria's outfit. I don't know. I think I might like if you could just change half of it. I think I like the top better. I don't know. It's actually I think I'm like 50-50 on this. I think they're fine, both of them. They're fine. I don't know. I kind of like. I think this one has like a. It's just like kind of cooler. I guess I could. I don't know. It's okay. I mean, it feels a little bit one. It feels like a little bit one-dimensional. Just like so much black. I don't know. Maybe just use Rosaria's old one. I go back and forth on it. I think I like them both the same on Rosaria. Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, they're fine. They're all fine, actually. I'd say glad we got them for free. I mean, but yeah. I do think I would like more outfits in general, but I guess if they're gonna be priced the way they are, that it makes sense. They're pretty scarce. I think it's nice that we're getting like free 4-star outfits. I'm trying to think of like who needs it the most. A lot of outfits are like good. I could do without Vent. I actually don't like Venti's outfit. Like who needs a change? All these are really good. I think Hu Tao's. I don't know, man. I don't love Hu Tao's outfit. It's okay. Sarah's perfect as is. I think Albedo's outfit's pretty solid. I think Xinyan's shorts are awful. These are awful. What are they? They look like tiles on a kitchen. I don't get it, and I don't like them. I like Xinyan. They should just give her some pads. Just give her some, like, rocker pads or something. She needs a new outfit. I think Mona's old outfit's better than her new one. Beto's outfit, pretty solid as is. That'd be hard to come back. That'd be hard to improve. I actually don't love Zhongli's outfit. Officials, I actually like officials.
created another unit.
I think Lisa could use some updating, to be honest. It's okay. Yanfei, I think Yanfei could use a new outfit. Bennett is, I think I was going to point to Bennett as being the top contender for needing an outfit. Bennett's outfit is so bad. It's so bad. I think Traveler should get a new outfit every region. Noelle, I think Noelle and Bennett are pretty tied for me for needing a new outfit. Noelle's outfit is just, I hate it so much. I hate it so much. Jiggly chest armor does not work. I don't know. Xingling I actually kind of like. I like the, I don't love the colors combined. It looks a lot like Wolverine from X-Men. She looks a lot like Wolverine. But if you just even just swap the colors, hey, what's up? I don't know how to, I wouldn't know how to pronounce that, but but hi. Sucrose, also high up on my list for needing a new outfit. I don't like this outfit at all. And yeah, Aloy. So I think Bennett, Noelle, Sucrose, Aloy. Man, Aloy is such a bummer. It's like a different game. It looks so plain. Yeah, I think those are my top like three. Bennett, Noelle, Sucrose. I think top three for needing a new outfit. If you, no resin hangout session. You have resin, but your parents are asleep. It's 2 a.m. Oh.
I feel like running.
Hey man, share the resin. Share the resin. Actually, I have 52 resin now. What do I do? What do I do? I think we know what we're gonna do. I gotta start killing this thing. I gotta remember. Well, I've been playing for a couple hours. I had even less when I started. I have no fragile resins. I don't have any fragile resins or anything. Some of y'all is sitting on like 20 fragile resins and shit. Like, I don't know how you have that compulsive, like, lack of compulsion to go artifact farm, but for me, I dump all my resin like the moment I get it.
Take your turn. We're way behind schedule.
How did I miss?
We're way behind schedule. We're way behind schedule. Access denied. For Rex Lapis. Manifest. Do your master's bidding.
I just first spam my way out of it.
Transfiguration. Horn of ice and frost. Obey. No touching.
Ow! Oh my gosh! I need a shield so bad for her. Yeah, I'll heal up.
Can't catch me.
Access denied.
Almost got him.
No one escapes spice.
Oh, it's not helping me a lot when I can't get my fucking burst.
All hail. Get it.
At least get a little bit of healing. Ow.
Obey! By ordinance divine!
Can I outrun it? I can't outrun it, no. What even is that? Come on, man. Jerk. My poor level 70 Sayu. She tried her best. That's all we can ask for. Sedition. Oh, healing bonus. Great. I at least got 3. That's what I needed. How am I looking? How am I looking on stuff here? I do think Diona is the pick here. I think you want to run Diona if you can. You need a shielder. I think Ganyu without a shielder is very painful. I mean, if you're gonna run around a team where she can't freeze, especially. But it's okay, we're doing hard mode. I'm playing hard mode. Let me see, what am I looking at for... For materials, I think you need 46 of that thing. Oh, and I can get an R3 contain at some point, I'll get it. Source drop by bosses. Doesn't tell you. That like never drops. These. Oh, okay. I'm almost halfway. That's not too bad. That's okay. We're getting there. I have almost no talent materials for Yay, though. This is all I have. Shit, dude. I have so much farming to do. And I don't even have like an amazing set. How is it? How is it? I just never have any damn resources. But see, look, now we're down to no resin. No resin. We're shot. Okay, does that feel better? I guess we'll wrap up, which I haven't done the latest of this. Oh, I guess there's 2 I can do. Okay. I don't really understand what's happening. I've been kind of skipping. I'm gonna be honest. I've been like skipping the dialogue on this one. The rewards on this event, I feel this is like the definition of like filler event, right? Do we get one of these at the end to put in our teapot at least? Oh, look at this. Look who got lucky and I have Sayu in the party. Oh, wait. Okay, here they are. They're gonna make me give up a crystal core? Are they for real? Are they for real gonna make me do that? Well, okay. I don't even have very many. Oh, there's one. I don't know, man. I already stopped using like a Yay team because actually, even like in the overworld, still kind of struggling to use. I mean, to use it. It's like, I don't know, man. I think it'll be fine. I'll pop it back on. It's not like it won't work. It's just, I guess at least it's not like a perfect analog, but it's. We don't want to use Beto on it. We'd want to use. If I put Kazuha here, I'm just gonna end up using Kazuha like the whole time, basically. And if I put Venti, like Venti just will kill things or do nothing. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't believe how bad Venti is now. It was already kind of like situational, but man, you know, why don't we throw in? I don't know who to throw in here. You throw in
I
Sarah.
will lead us to victory.
That's a lot of Electro, but that's okay.
It's nearly time.
This team
for
would be
afternoon
fine. You'd still struggle a little bit in some cases. But it's okay. I think you'd probably want the third character to be Animo. But again, you're not getting Electro Resonance. I'll leave Stinchu for now. Why is there like a... What is this 5th grade science quiz? Alright, that turned out okay. I want to see how much like my Lisa does damage wise. We see like what does she do? I should compare Witsith versus Skyward on Lisa and see, because it's actually going to be pretty similar, but if we do... Of course no fucking... Of course no crit! Of course no crit! Why would either one crit? Come on, man. This game. But it's got like pretty decent like sustained damage, I think. Oh, I could take it out on those robots. Right? And those robots spawn. Or over here. Here's some conveniently located robots. This is like the closest thing we have to like decently stacked enemies that we can kind of have fun with. These couple areas in the game where there's like 3 robots or 4 robots. Wish there were just kind of more mini bosses wandering around, frankly. But okay, here we go.
Rain outlines your fate. Rain cutter.
So I'm gonna pop this, then I can pop that on Fischl, and then I can do this. Oh, I missed. Oh my god. Swap to the wrong character. Okay, so let me try this again. Let's pretend I didn't do anything here. Okay, so now I can pop this.
Wings of darkness, come.
Okay, snapshot that buff. If I can shoot that thing.
Let's spark things up a little. Come a little closer. Blitz.
I think that kind of works. It's a little bit clunky. I also didn't pop Shingchu's. So we'll do a little slide. It seems like it's a lot of swapping, but what you'd want to do on this team is like pop Sarah, snapshot, shoot, Sarah burst, and then pick up for Yay
You've been
to get the most out of it. Or you can just not buff Sarah's own burst, but it depends on how invested your Sarah is. But you can also just use Bennett. The question is like, is your Sarah C6?
No, my sword.
As mine is, which is a slightly bigger buff. You also could use Kokomi and not have to worry about Xingqiu actually. Because there's so much swapping there, actually Xingqiu is kind of a bad pick. That kind of makes me think, on this team you could run Kokomi without like much loss. Probably a gain.
By royal decree.
But I mean, look how much Visual can sitting here doing 11k pause damage. Like what? It's pretty solid. So this is a reasonable team actually. So now if you're not worried about attacking at all, and you're just doing
We need a
this,
strategy.
this all kind of works, I think.
Allow me.
Goals and leeway. Thank God you can teleport here now. Oh, why did I jump down? Okay, up we go. I feel like I should probably use Cosmo for this, but that's okay. Okay, Sarah, you're up. Why would they make you climb this and then have the climbing be this janky? You just get stuck on the thing. Jesus. Come on, man. This is the other side better. Oh, shit. Yeah, I should just climb the other side. Turns out. Whoops. It's just me being a baby. Oh my god, it's so far. What's up with this? Just get all this is just doing is making you want to pull for Cosmo. That's the secret agenda here. Speed up the climbing. Okay. Okay. This is one of the more tedious events we've ever had, probably. Kazuo is pretty bonkers in the overworld, yeah, for sure. I mean, what? Okay. And these event rewards are pretty fucking weak, man. I mean, 30 Primos, alright. It's- They're pretty weak. And anyway, I guess you get some from the quest too. I guess all combined, it's okay. But man, it's not much. It's not much. It's okay. It's all right. It's not like it's hard. It's just I'm just like just give me the fucking more and let's move on, man. Is it 420 altogether? Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because it's like 30 each. It's fine. It's fine. It's just I just don't think this event has been like particularly enjoyable. But you know, I know we have the event coming up, and I just wish some of these events would just be expanded into being more endgame activities of some sort. Like if we just had more stuff than Abyss, like Abyss is. I mean, the fact that it's just every 2 weeks and you're done with it in a half hour, it's like you just need something else. That event coming up, it's like more fun than Abyss. So the one, I forget the name of it, but you know what I'm talking about, where it's you have with two characters. That one is more fun than Abyss. The one we just did, where you had you had to pick teams, and you were going for points. Like there's a baseline you had to do, but there's an intrinsic reward for doing better by just getting more points. And you had some strategy in like how do you do that one versus that one first or that one first and the potions and stuff. Even if they just remove the potions and do that same exact structure and made that Abyss, where there's some strategy to using more of your characters, and you could like kind of pick which floor or whatever to do first. Even if that were Abyss, it would already be better because you'd be incentivized to use more of your characters. Like there's so many better ideas that they've had on temporary events. And then there's that roguelike dungeon thing we had a couple patches ago with Shinyan and Child. Like there's so many events that we've had that have been better candidates for end game than Abyss, and yet they just have kept Abyss the same. And it's blowing my mind because we keep getting decent events, but then they're gone in 2 weeks. It's like we know what would be good. We just don't do it. I don't understand. It makes no sense. Like that pair event is good because it's like if you don't have good characters, they give you some. If you do have good characters, you can just get farther. You can just kill more enemies. And again, it's like there's a baseline that you have to clear to get the rewards, but like by just adding a point system for no rewards, it gives you an incentive to do it more. The only thing that you have to do in Abyss is like, do you do a speed run? But the problem with speedrunning Abyss even is that like Abyss makes you wait for your cooldowns, and then it's like the Abyss also splits up into two floors where it's just like tedious to reset because the one floor, it's like just give us like a point system or like just there's so many easy ways they've already made Abyss better and they just haven't stuck any of them, which is just kind of surprising. What am I supposed to do now? Cook something? Some sweet madams. I just don't understand it because again it doesn't and I think the obvious response to that is like, well, they don't want to get more primos, but it's like I would be fine if they just swapped out the current Spiral Abyss. If the current Spiral Abyss just was one of like 5 different possible endgame things that were happening at any one time. Like, let's say instead of saying like, "What's the new Spiral Abyss?" let's say like, "What is the new endgame thing for this rotation?" And then maybe it's the Spiral Abyss that is his current duration. Maybe it's a different thing. Even if that's what they did and didn't add any new rewards, it would already be better. Even if, again, like what they did was just introduce a point system to make incentivized playing it for fun be fun, without giving any more rewards that's already better. It's like, I mean, it's all there. They like all have already done it. It's just blowing my mind.
Veggie soup.
Right? Because the current structure for Abyss, the conflict is like if you make it too hard, then like people can't clear it, and I get it. And so I don't think you need to do that. But that's why I'm saying like there was never a need to get 8,000 points in the energy amplifier event, right? But there was but it was a fun challenge to do it. So like introducing point systems that are just intrinsic for the fuck of it is like fine. Just do it. The problem with like speedrunning stuff is like those events give you ways of trying to find like strategize to overcome the challenges or whatever. Like the current Abyss, what you do if you want to speedrun it is one, there's not even like an accurate timer or a way to track and say I did it. You have to like record it and upload it or whatever. You can't just like it doesn't just like track your kill time on it. That's already one problem with it. And then like so that makes it basically hard. Like if you play on mobile and you wanted to do it, you like couldn't really participate in like speedrunning as like a thing to do because it's like a barrier to doing it. But then it's like again the way Abyss is currently structured is like tedious because it's just like RNG enemy AI, RNG bosses and shit. It's just restarting it and waiting for your cooldowns each time. I mean, it's just I just don't know why they don't do it. It's not about making it harder. It's just about like introducing replayability for intrinsic value. That's all you have to do, and people will be so much happier. Because I could have just teleported here, but that's okay. Taking the sights. The only problem with this team, and why I won't run this team, is because I have Raiden. Basically. Like Sarah's gonna be attached to Raiden. It's gonna be a problem. That'll be an issue. But for now, it's fine. Oh my god, bro. Why are you doing this to me? I don't know. What teams are you all planning on running with EA? I think most people are assuming they'll just run with Raiden. Which again is just frustrating to me as someone with a good Raiden, and that the fact that it's a downgrade is oh my god, come on. It's just frustrating to me about EA. EA's teams, it feels like it's missing something. It really does feel like we're going to get a EA support. Or a main DPS even that will better benefit from EA. Like, Raiden doesn't benefit from having EA. So, like... Maybe it's Dendro. Hell, maybe Ayato, man. Ayato? Oh my... Oh! How do you pronounce it? Ayato? Ayato? Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but if you know, like... If you have Kazuha, you're already better off using Kazuha. I mean, it's like Ye's a decent option if you're missing Sarah or or Kazuha, or for some reason your Bennett's locked up on a different team. I mean, there's reasons why you might slot her in, but it's like, but the reasons are never it's because like she's the best pick. Which is like kind of the response people have about Shenhe. It's like, it's not that she's worse than Kazuha, she is worse than Kazuha, even for Cryo. But people will just say like, wouldn't you just use them both? But it's like, no, because I use Kazuha with Raiden. So like, no, that's not an option. I think Fischl, Bennett, and Child works pretty well for her, but she's not. But she's not like she's not even like always a gain over Beto on that team. She can be a gain on Beto. That team thrives in AOE because Child is not that great single target on that team. So you're looking at AoE, then like, if it's 2 or 3 targets, Beto's gonna do more damage than her. If it's like 5 targets, then she probably can do more damage if enemies are grouped up, but then you need an Animo to group them up. And that team that you have right there doesn't have any Animo grouping them up. So the reason why I say Ayato might be the character that does, was it Inquire? Was it you that was mentioning, hey, what's up, Quanisha? Am I saying that correct? That, like, the new event boss introducing Hydro crowd control? Like, if Ayato does have crowd control, then he actually will be perfect for Ye, an Electro Charge team. I think he'd still need probably an Animo healer. He'd probably run Ayato, Fischl, Ye, and like Jean or Sayu on that team probably. But it would be like
To manifest
fine.
eternity,
It'd be
per the
solid.
Almighty
What you
Shogun's
could
will.
do right now, if you don't mind sacrificing a little bit of his damage, but it could be worth it because again, if you can group up enemies, you're gonna do so much more damage with Ye, and even with Child. The Viridescent Haunt is a unique weapon. Right? I think Viridescent Haunt, Child, Fischl, and Ye might be better than even Polar Star on Child. Because again, you want to group them up, right? For electrocharge damage, Child Riptides, and Ye are all going to benefit from them being grouped up. I actually think for small enemies, this is probably the best. Unless you want to throw in Kazuha, but then again, who do you remove from that, right? Then you run no healer. If you're fine running no healer, but there's, very little content where that's doable, you do get some crowd control by, like, stunning them with Electrocharge, and Kazuha stuns them, and so maybe you can run without a healer. But, like, that's not how I like to roll, personally. So, I mean, it seems like an option to me. Like, in Viridescent Haunt, kind of slept on for Child. I think very top tier choice on Child here, especially on a Ye team. Plus it has crit, solid option.
That is what I aspire to.
Jesus, this quest. I'm really dragging this out here. Yeah, I mean, there was a leak that was probably fake that had him with crowd control or whatever. It does have a small AoE, but it does hold them together. The goal is just to keep enemies. The AoE is extremely small. So if you look at like,
Quiver!
not the whole. I was looking to say like, is there like even that little small circle? There's not. It's hard to see. There's like a small glowing circle around the thing. Do you see it?
Mio's really got
Do you see that? Like, not when it explodes, but just while it's sitting on the ground.
Strike!
There's like kind of a glowing little circle. Yang has an AoE like roughly that size, like very small on her E. And so the goal is just to keep enemies as tightly grouped as possible so that each totem hits all of them. So it doesn't matter that the AoE is small, because again, you need just to clump them together. So much dialogue. So much talking. Okay, talking about food. Love food. Food's great. Okay. Okay. I'm glad they understand that it is annoying to listen to. Okay. Alright. The fact that they made me sit through it and then they acknowledge it's annoying doesn't change the fact that it is annoying. Okay. Let's go. Dude, it's so insane that they haven't added a skip dialogue. I don't understand. Sometimes I want to read the dialogue, but it's like the game must know that like that if I don't care about the escapades of this raccoon thing, I don't like who cares, man? I don't care. It's just all this is just run around and just skip dialogue constantly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you have an alt account, especially, for sure. Some of these, it's like, just trim it up a little bit, you know? Just trim it up a little tiny bit. I mean, if you have an epic storyline, cool, I'm down to read it, down to listen in. What was that? The Albedo event, for example. Good, I want to hear all that dialogue. That was an interesting story. This is just like, oh, what is a restaurant? It's like, bro, I get it. I understand. He doesn't know what a restaurant is. Cool, I get it. Talk about the hangout events too. My god, those are still so tedious. Maybe I'm alone on that, but those hangout events, they're better now. I know they made an improvement, but man, they're still tedious. Just stand here and talk. I mean, like what? Like who? What are we like? What are we getting out of this here? At this point? Okay, like. Who's this dude? He's selling stuff? I'm not trying to get stuck in a dialogue. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Sound of rain masks.
This has to be the last step, right?
Stay alert. Listen. Thunder speaks the will of the almighty Shogun.
Rainy day. Okay. Alright. Oh my god, okay. Okay. Just to end the quest was like a minute long. Come on, bro. Alright, we did it. We did it. Only 4 more days of this. Oh, is this a new feature? I remember that you could, like, on a phone or on a like on a computer, you could click on like the things. But like they give now on controller, they give you the option to hit L2 to say hi. That's kind of nice. It's like a small little thing, but that's good. That's cool. I'm into it.
The duty of a
Alright.
Tengu warrior is to...
Let me sum up my thoughts on Yay team crafting. My biggest overall takeaway from Yay team crafting is that there is no ideal Yay team right now. Even if you work it in reverse, like a Eula team, an ideal Eula team probably has Raiden in it, but even there, Raiden is not the ideal Raiden team is not with Eula, right? But Eula can be a gain for Raiden. Generally speaking, unless your Raiden is like a support build, low investment, whatever, Yay is not a great pick on that team. I know that's where people are going to pair because Yay needs Raiden, but that doesn't make her a good pick for a Raiden team, right? Do you know what I mean? That's the equivalent of adding in a support that needs a battery, but that doesn't make that team function better. So that's been like my number one goal is like figure out like what is a team where like Yay thrives where it doesn't feel like I'm just picking her to like just use her because I like her or whatever, you know? And again, the teams that make sense to me right now are mob-based teams. Like only times when I can use like Venti to group up enemies. Oh, look who it is. What's up? And then again, use Venti to group because he can hold them there while Ye can hit all the enemies with each hit of the totem. That is a somewhat unique position for her over other Electros. Right? Like Venti and Raiden, I don't know if she hits the enemies in his burst, but it's like she can run with Kazuha instead. And I feel like there's just better synergy here with like Kie and Venti versus Raiden and Venti. So it kind of feels right to me. Again, like this team, or maybe throw in Toma or whatever, or Bennett, but a Venti official Yay team is where I'm leaning now. That fourth slot, I don't know who it goes to. I think Kokomi or Toma is where I'm also leaning. I'm trying to think of who would be a decent fourth pick. Jean... No, if you're using Venti. The only reason I say Jean is because I have Animo Shred, and I could run a DPS Venti. that's an option. I think it's not impossible to consider a Yoimiya team on this team. It's not ideal, but it would probably be okay. I think I would still prefer a Beto Xingqiu team. Again, because she's just more fun to play. I'm trying to think what else would work here. Right? Because it's like... I mean, I guess you could throw in Albedo. Albedo has pretty decent synergy with Venti if you have a decently built Albedo, especially C2 where he's got good burst damage. But just having kind of like passive turret damage going all the time is pretty solid. Man, it's like... I guess Mona, if Kokomi works and you don't need a healer, then Mona's a decent option, right? You can Mona burst and then Yay burst. That's a solid gain there, I would say. Sarah's a clunky pick there, because again, you'd be giving up Fischl, which isn't good, or you'd be giving up Venti, which isn't good. So, and you should be taking off a Raiden team. Yeah, it's just like there's just not as many teams to run if you're trying to keep your Raiden hyper team together, as I will be. So I think right here, this is probably my top pick right here so far. My recommendation right now is Lisa, Venti, Kokomi, and again, maybe you could run Mona, but again, just way easier to run a healer. Best build for that would be Tenacity of the Monolith on Kokomi with probably Sacrificial Fragments, again, just because easier uptime on that Jellyfish. Not a completely wasted Elemental Mastery stat.
There'll be plenty of time for work later.
Easier to reposition under Venti. Fischl is necessary to battery. Yay. I mean, I feel like this is going to be like my go-to Yay team. None of my Raiden Hypercarry units are used here. No Kazuha, no Bennett, no Sarah. It solves the energy issues for Yay. It adds additional synergy for Yay that even Kazuha doesn't bring. Right? Kazuha doesn't hold enemies for a long period of time in one spot. He can suck them together, but they don't stay there. Whereas Venti does. Right? So there's a lot of reasons why this team makes more sense to me than a Raiden team. So that's my takeaway after fucking around with it a little bit today. That's my recommendation for a Yay team. I feel pretty solid that that's not going to change for me. And again, I think it's going to be worse overall than Raiden Hypercarry, but decent enough that it makes sense to use EA on this team over, right, like other alternatives. It's not just a strict downgrade for her aesthetics or whatever, right? There's like reasons why it works. So that's my recommendation. And it kind of makes sense that might be why we're getting Kokomi also, right? So, I mean, are there other teams? Maybe, sure. But this would be my top pick is this team. My second pick is a fun alternative is swapping out Kokomi for Toma. Just because Overload is fun, and Venti will keep him in. So, those are my two picks. This one is probably the most, I would say, like, just good. This is just the best EA team in my opinion. And again, it's going to be limited to times when Venti works, which is limited, but that does mean that, in my opinion, EA is kind of limited. But looking at her kit, it is true that it is. So I feel pretty good about that recommendation. So. Fun hanging. I'm gonna wrap up there. I will be streaming again more regularly this week, and I am still tentatively planning later streams, so it'll be more like 6 p.m. Pacific time instead of 3. For those who don't know, I started a new job, and that just changed my schedule a little bit. So I'll be streaming a few hours later than my normal time, but I'm gonna pick back up streaming now that I'm kind of getting into the swing of things. So, look forward to that. I'll see y'all later. We'll be counting down the days until Yay, and we'll get her, and we'll fuck around, and maybe we'll find a niche for her that's That's unexpected, so we'll see. Alright. Take it easy. Peace.